Alright guys, hope you're doing good. Thank you so much for watching this video. Now in this video today, I'm going to walk you through the framework that we leverage to generate hundreds of high quality leads for lawyers and as well as get upwards of 30 high paying cases every single month while staying insanely profitable at the exact same time and not breaking their bank account essentially. So in case if you don't know who I am, my name is Alex. I'm the CEO of Luxury Avenue Media. We work with lawyers and we help them pretty much, acquire leads, vet the leads, nurture leads, qualify the leads, and then also set appointments for them so that the only thing the lawyer has to do is actually get on a call or take the appointment with the qualified lead and actually turn them into a high paying client. And as I said in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire framework that we use so you can see everything step by step and pretty much, see if you can implement that for your own self and see how we typically go about doing it for our partners as an example, okay? So this process consists of kind of like 3 phases. The very first phase, more of like the phase 0, is just the onboarding. So when we typically begin a new partnership with our partners, we have a call with them to obviously figure out where they're at right now, how is everything going. And then after that, if they believe in our solution, they ask for the invoice, then they pay that, and then we do the onboarding process, and then we also sign the agreement. And during this onboarding process, we essentially figure out and gain clarity on what exactly is their target audience, what also are their goals that they have over the next 30, 60 to 90 days, and also whether or not they have run any paid advertising before. So if they have run some ads, let's say on Instagram or Facebook, and let's say Google as an example, right? Then we analyze that ad account performance analysis to gather some data from there and things like that. And then during that time as well, we obviously get access to their ads managers so that we can eventually, when we start setting everything up, we can go ahead and actually launch the ads for them, okay? Then after that, we go into the next phase, not like in the next phase, more of like the next step within the phase 0, which is setting up our communication within Discord. Then we have our strategy call, which is the onboarding call. And on that call, we discuss a couple of smaller details here and there. And then we also set up a weekly check-in call as well. And then our partner finalizes a value worksheet. And this worksheet is actually quite powerful because at the end of the day, you have to realize that there is so many attorneys, so many lawyers, within the country that you're in. As an example, the US, if you are, from there as an example. And the question is, how do you stand out, right? Like what makes you different, right? So that's why we have this worksheet that they finalize so they can include what exactly are the unique selling points, why typically, clients come to them as opposed to, their competitors, things like that. And that allows not only us to get a lot of clarity on who exactly we're going after and, how do you stand out from everybody else, but then also it gets you a lot of clarity as well because you can sit down, put that on a document and you have like an entire, document made with like entire full clarity on what exactly is that you are, what is the audience that you're going after. And then also like how do you stand out from everybody else essentially, right? So once that's done, we then move into the first phase, which essentially is the setup phase. And what we do right here is we use a software called Go High Level to pretty much set up the entire sales funnel, which consists of getting a phone number that we can use, the inbound caller can essentially use to call leads that are going to be coming in from ads. Then also the landing pages, calendars to set appointments, workflows and automations, Zapier automations as well, pre-call lead nurturing systems, everything on those lines. So we have an actual funnel and an actual process built out on there, everything from CRMs, landing pages, phone numbers, etc., etc. Once that tech is built out, we then go into actually creating the first ad angles. So preparing the first ad creatives, the first ad copies, injecting in there the actual offers that we are going to be running to get people into the door, everything on those lines. And then also during that time, placing an actual inbound caller who is going to call the leads that will be coming from ads, right? And then also creating a Facebook and Instagram lead form so that when people see the ad, they can actually click on the ad and then there's going to be a lead form for them to fill out with their actual information. And then we connect that with Zapier to multiple other places such as Discord and also Go High Level for some automation creation and things like that. But once we have this foundation built and everything's in place, we have the inbound caller, we have all the tech built out, we have the ad creatives created, everything on those lines, which typically takes a couple of days after the onboarding process. We then go into the actual launch phase, which is where we set the ads live and start generating leads, right? And if you are somewhat knowledgeable about, let's say, like Facebook ads as an example, there is such a thing where you can create lookalike audiences. Lookalike audiences are such audiences where you can basically give Facebook, let's say like your existing lead list. For example, it could be your existing clients, or just the leads that you have in your pipeline. So you kind of like feed to Facebook their email address, their phone number, and their first and last name. And what's going to happen is Facebook is going to go ahead and find millions of other people that are kind of like a direct copy of those people. And these ads sometimes could be extremely powerful to run because, most of the people that pretty much see these ads are the ones that kind of like are a direct copy of your existing clients, or, your leads that you kind of like, gave to Facebook as a reference essentially, right? So we go ahead and we set up a couple of ads, which are lookalike audiences, interest targeting as well, and then also some broad ads as well, which is like open targeting basically. And we typically do anywhere between 6 to 10 ad sets at a time, depending on what is exactly the ad budget. And all of them are DCO ads with 3 to 6 ads in there. So what DCO means basically is a direct, creative optimization. And what that basically stands for is basically, we have one ad, more of like one ad set, and we have multiple ads within it with different creatives and things like that. And Facebook is going to keep on switching them up depending on what they personally think that particular person that's going to see that ad is going to react to the most, right? So if we have free creatives in there, right, Facebook's AI, as an example, is going to basically analyze and see that this particular person that's about to see the ad, they're more likely to react not to the first creative, but let's say to the second one as an example, right? And then they show the second one, right? So that way you can actually, get more performance out of your actual ad budget you're spending. That's why we do these DCO ads to test out different creatives at the same time. We basically the same exact ad budget that we have, right? So once we have these 6 to 10 ad sets set live, which were, once again, as I said, all of them are DCO ads with 3 to 6 ads within each of them, we wait about 3 days or so, 72 hours or so, before we actually go into, kind of like optimizing these ads and taking things from there. Because if you let the ads run just for like 1 or 2 days, it's not really enough amount of time for Facebook to pretty much, spend enough of an ad budget to show these ads to enough of people, especially given that the average cost per lead, it varies, but it could be anywhere between $8 to $28. So if you have an ad set that's running at, let's say, $10 a day as an example, you need to let it run for about 3 days before you actually start doing anything with it, right? So that's why we do, we let these ads run for about 3 days or so, 72 hours. And then after that, what we do is we take a look at the KPIs and we see if the KPIs are being met. And we look at the cost per lead and also the lead quality, because if we see that there is some ad sets that are not gathering any leads whatsoever, then we turn them off, right? But the ones that have gathered leads, we analyze how many leads exactly is it and how good of quality of these leads are, right? Because it's not just about you getting cheap leads, it's more important for you to get quality leads, right? And usually the best quality leads are not going to be the cheapest, right? So that's why you need to be very cautious about what you turn off and what you don't turn off, right? So we analyze these data points, we see what is the cost per lead and also what is the lead quality that we have gathered from these ad sets. And if we see that the actual, for some of these ad sets, let's say the KPIs are not being met, meaning that, once again, as I said, they haven't gathered any leads whatsoever as an example, or let's say they are bringing very terrible leads as an example, right? Then what we do is we analyze that data and then we go ahead and create new ad creatives, edit existing ones as well, create new copy angles, cut losing ad sets, and then also launch new audiences. And then we let that run once again for about 3 days before we make any decisions based on that, right? So the point here is for us to get to a point where we basically have cheap leads coming in while the lead quality as well is super, super good. And once we have gathered about, let's say we have an ad set that's getting us about 4 or 5 leads consistently. It's been running for a couple of days. As an example, it's getting 4 to 5 leads at a pretty good cost per lead, and also the lead quality is really, really good. Then we go into the next phase where we look into possibly scaling that ad set, and we analyze the data points and see if it's ready for scaling. If we see that it's not ready for scaling yet, and we needed to get a bit more data, they will let it run for about like 1 to 2 to 3 days or so before we analyze the KPIs once again, see how the numbers are, and then after that ask ourselves the question once again if they are ready to be scaled, right? And if we see they're ready to be scaled, then we move them into a scaling campaign and pretty much scale from there. Now in this video, I'm not gonna walk you through the scaling campaign we use. It should be incorporated in a complete separate video. But this is how we typically go about testing and finding out multiple ad sets that are bringing us good leads at a pretty cheap, cost as well. And as I said, in this phase, we are finding the cost per lead threshold as well. So for example, if you're running the ads and we see that, we have a couple of ad sets that are bringing us leads at, let's say, $10 per lead. And then we see there is a couple other ones that are bringing us, let's say, $25 per lead. And then we launch, let's say, new ones. We keep on testing and iterating and things like that. And we see that we can actually get the cost per lead down to about like $10, where also the lead quality is really good. Then that's kind of like the threshold of the cost per lead that we'll be aiming for, right? Because you wouldn't want to scale something too early without knowing exactly what is your cost per lead threshold, essentially, right? So we find that out, and then we also find out winning audience pockets, winning ad creatives and ad copies, and also the offers. And our goal is to find a combination of, that gets leads at a low cost per lead, and also the lead quality is extremely good, right? So here you can see a couple of examples, a couple of ad sets that we're running for one of our clients. This is the first ad set right here, targeting Josh Flagg as an actual interest. And here, as you can see, the average cost per lead is about $16.46. It's spent very close to $150 and it's got about 4 leads, right? Now this campaign, more of like ad set right here, has booked 5 sales calls, 5 appointments, and the average cost per booked appointment is very close to $30, right? Right here is another one where you can see the actual cost per lead is actually significantly higher. It's nearly like $10 higher, essentially. It's like $8 to $9 higher. And for this one, as you can see, the average cost per lead, more of like cost per book call, is about $72.50 because it's booked 2 calls. So it's not really about the question of how cheap leads you can get. It's more of like about the quality of the leads, because at the end of the day, the main metric that matters for you is your cost per acquisition, right? And the metrics that you can analyze that are as close to the cost per acquisition, the better it is. Because if, for example, you're getting high, let's say your cost per lead is quite high, but then your cost per book call is significantly lower, and then also these people that hop on a call with you are also super qualified, then that means much more than you looking at the cost per lead as an example, right? It doesn't matter what the cost per lead is, as long as you are getting calls booked in at a pretty cheap cost, and these are also qualified calls, qualified leads, and then you're also able to obviously have a good cost per acquisition, right? Those are the main metrics that matter, right? But as I said, this is how we typically go about doing it, and that's how we find out multiple of these ad sets that perform really well. And once we have some of them basically in the ads manager that are performing super well, we then obviously analyze if we are ready to scale them, and if we are, then we go about actually putting them in a scaling campaign and scaling them from there, which, as I said, I'll cover in a completely different video at some point. But else than that, that's really the process that we use. And when these leads come in, what really happens is we have an entire funnel built out on the back end to make sure we can convert these leads. So as these leads basically see these ads, they will basically click on the ad, and then they will see a questionnaire they need to fill out because it's a lead form that they need to finalize. And once they finalize it, we have an automation that immediately sends a message to the actual inbound caller that a new lead came in. And then that inbound caller looks at the appointments booking dashboard to see if an appointment comes through in the next 5 minutes. Because if the actual lead doesn't self-book the call after finalizing the lead form, then what we do is we go ahead and we basically call our lead within the first 5 minutes. So the inbound caller calls them immediately, right? And from here, some of these people that don't answer the phone, what we'll do is we'll send them SMS, voicemail, and email follow-ups, okay? But if they do pick up the phone, then we essentially have a conversation with them. And the goal for us is to basically connect with them, say that, hey, notice that you just opted in from one of our ads, and then after that, figure out what exactly is their current situation, how is everything going, what's the problem they're experiencing, what they're looking for, things like that. Vet the leads, qualify the leads, and if we see they're a good lead that we can actually book an appointment with the lawyer, then we go ahead and set an actual appointment, right? And then as they set the actual appointment, as the inbound caller sets the appointment, here what happens is that the actual prospect as well fills in a couple more information points in the actual calendar booking link as well, such as let's say if you are a personal injury lawyer as an example, right? Then a couple of questions that we include in there is how exactly were you hit, what was the accident exactly, what happened, did they go to the doctor, whether or not they were at fault in this accident, right? when exactly did the injury happen, was it like in the last 14 days, 30 days, whatever that might be, etc., etc., and also a brief explanation of exactly what happened so that you can get that information prepared before you have the appointment with them. And then of course from there on out, what happens is, you go ahead, take the appointment and close the deal, and you have a new client basically. So that's really the process that we use. Now, if you have any questions, then leave a comment right below this video. Else than that, I'll attach as well a link in the description section of this video. It's going to be the very first link down below, which you can click. It's going to send you to a calendar in case if you're interested in seeing how exactly my team can inject this process in your business, and basically walk you through everything much more in depth so you can see how it works, and whether take it yourself and implement it together with your team, or let me and my team basically step in and do this entirely done for you, where you don't have to worry about building out this entire system yourself essentially. So that's what you're interested in, then as I said, I'll leave a button, more of like a link down below in the description. It's going to send you to our calendar where you can book a call with us. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found value from it, and other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.